This is me. This is my beloved wife, Sylvia. This is Sylvia's idea of sailing. This is my dream of sailing and my hope of circumnavigating the globe as a retirement project in 2029. This is Sylvia's reaction to that idea. I am on a 6-year quest to convince Sylvia that a circumnavigation is a wonderful adventure, but the clock is ticking, so join me as I search for the perfect yacht that Sylvia will love, and get all your ladies to subscribe and cheer Sylvia on in the comments.
Welcome back to Naval Gazing at Camp David. This week, we're heading to the yards of the Antares Catamaran Company for a tour of a yacht that really lit the hybrid market on fire, the Antares 44H. Today, we will 1. Review its specifications, pricing, and layout against 3 similar new vessels. 2. Do a full tour asking, what would Sylvia say? 3. Naval gaze at an innovation and or adjustment that might make life aboard a little safer. 4. Have a look at the used market for 3 to 5-year-old comparables. And 5. Give it a Dave score and compare it to all the other previously reviewed yachts. As always, all this fun will be sandwiched between a pairing of wine and a work of art from the same region as the guest yacht in an effort to capture the culture and people who gave birth to these wonderful vessels. Wine, waves, art, and ideas. What a civilized way to spend 30 minutes. So let's get going. From high above Vancouver, we head east across North America, the Atlantic, and down the European and African west coast, arriving at the yards of Nexus Yachts, who craft last week's yacht, the Balance 526. From here, we hop back across to Argentina and the home of the Antares 44H. Finally, we hop east again to the headquarters of Mascota Vineyards and our wine pairing, Mascota Unanime Mendoza 2017. The Penaflor Group has a history of making wine that spans well over 100 years. However, Mascota Vineyards is a relatively new project started in 2010 with their long-standing winemaker, Rodolfo Sandler, as a project focused on 2 important terroirs from Mendoza, the historic heart of Mapu and the up-and-coming wine regions of the UCO Valley. It has grown quickly from its genesis to a wine production of 2.5 million bottles a year and took home Argentinian Wine Producer of the Year at the International Wine and Spirits Competition in 2014, just 4 years after its foundation. Working with 2 key terroirs in Mendoza, Mascota Vineyards has its main vineyard in Cruz de Pedra in Mapu, where 97 hectares of vineyards are planted on sandy clay loam soil at an average altitude of 850 meters above sea level. In this historic wine region of Mapu, Mascota Vineyards produces Cabernet Sauvignon, Malbec, Cabernet Franc, Syrah, and Chardonnay principally, which go toward the flagship Mascota Vineyards line and Opie. The vine age range from 40 years old to 5-year-old vines. The top of the range Uname blend along with Big Bat and Grand Mascota lines come from selected vineyards in the Uco Valley. Uname comes from the deep, stony soils of San Carlos. Big Bat comes from sandy soils with calcium carbonate in Altamira. And the Grand Mascota line also comes from vineyards over 1,000 meters in altitude in the Uco Valley. James Suckling says this is a rich, dense red with blackberry and blueberry aromas and flavors. Extremely well crafted tannins, hints of vanilla to the ripe fruit at the end. Incredible value, a blend of 55% Cabernet Sauvignon, 30% Malbec, and 15% Cabernet Franc. Having a look at the outside of the Antares, you can't get past the fact that she has a dated exterior. I would absolutely love to see these guys get a new mold and a new launch. Certainly not as bad as the Royal Cape, but yeah, it's hard to escape the fact that this is quite a dated exterior. Probably very functional. You've got quite a protected helm area, good area for solar on the roof, as you can see. The bows are almost plumb. Overall, not a bad looking boat. It's just, you can tell her age, and she could certainly do with a new mold, shall we say. Okay, we're getting into our comparisons this week, and we are going to look at the Antares 44H, that stands for hybrid, in comparison to the Nautitech 44, the Elba 45, and the Leopard 45. Looking at their profiles, you can see, there's nothing really that stands out. The Nautitech 44, obviously the most attractive of the group. However, the Elba 44, 45 and the Leopard 45 have so much extra space because of, forward seating areas, and in the case of the Leopard, the forward access door, the elevated fly lounges, all those good toys of a modern design. As far as sail area goes, it is the Fountain Peugeot in the lead at 124 square meters, followed by the Leopard at 120, followed by the Nautitech at 44, and the Antares just a wee bit behind at 101. Hopping onto the rooftops, you can see that our friends at Fountain Peugeot and Leopard have a lot going on the rooftop, which is wonderful. You've got lovely fly lounges, lovely sun pads, you've got protected helms with hard tops, all that good stuff. And in the case of the Leopard, of course, you have a fully covered forward cockpit, which is absolutely wonderful with forward access. The Nautitech, all business, much more performance oriented, a lot of room for solar on the roof. Your helms are aft and outboard, and comfortable seats. They do have a bit of a bimini that goes over it, but it's made for that sense of performance feel, almost like a monohull with great visibility down the line of the hull and up to your sails. The Antares has a fully enclosed helm area there with the bimini that covers the entire cockpit. There's area for solar on the top. Obviously, they're focusing on an arch-mounted solar panel aftermarket for the aft, and nothing much going on the forward sections. As far as pricing goes, the most economical of the bunch is surprisingly the Nautitech at 539,280 euro. That's followed by the Fountain Peugeot at 686, the Leopard just a wee bit more at 708, and the Antares at 989. But again, don't be fooled. The Antares, similar to some of our friends, our boutique friends in South Africa, load up their boats. So it does not follow the 50% rule that most of the volume manufacturers do. Okay, let's hop now down into the saloon. And looking across here, sorry, the outline or the line drawing of the Antares is all that's available, so you'll have to squint a wee bit. But it's a decent sized saloon area, and enhanced by there's an option you can have for an aft bulkhead mounted settee in the saloon that really gives you a secondary space for seating and lounging, which I love. And the interior, of course, we'll get into that, is spectacular. Nothing short of spectacular. Finally, a manufacturer that thinks like Passport does, or like Oyster does, and somehow realizes that catamaran owners don't want to feel like they're living inside of a plastic water bottle. The Leopard is quite spacious. In my opinion, I'd probably lose that return you've got on that midsection on the settee and just leave it an L, but they make it a full U, and it's quite nice. The interior of the 45 is very comfortable with a nice thick countertop that looks really elegant. They've gone with a slightly darker faux wood, as you know. It's not bad. Good space, forward-facing nav, very comfortable. Elba 45, again, they've done a lot with the space. It really is extremely comfortable. I find the Fountain Pajots, though, feel a little unfinished. Or, I mean, I love their design. I love the materials they're using for the most part. What I don't love is the exposed fiberglass in the ceiling and around the area. There's too much of it. It needs to be paneled up with some nice soft touch vinyl. But there's lots of space there. You've got a great cockpit in the back. You've got a great faux cockpit in the front. Nautic 44, their interior is the best of the volume manufacturers. You know, they really do a beautiful job with their veneers, with their colors, especially the darker chocolate walnut that they've got going on now. Wow, does it ever look elegant? And the 44 doesn't disappoint. So overall, you know, good space in that vessel. Okay, hopping down into accommodations. They're all, you know, aft, fore aft, butt scoot beds in all of them. Most of them now are offering some kind of a four-peak smart room of sorts. The Leopard 45 offers a little bit of access from the foot of the bed up the side, but not an awful lot. Your full hull suite is gorgeous. The one standout would be on the Elba 45 in the head. The shower is epic proportions. They've done an extraordinary job and a highly innovative layout with the way they're doing their shower there. The Antares, this is where she falls short. She feels a little cramped. Very elegant in the hulls, but she feels a little cramped compared to the other modern designs. Okay, let's dive into the numbers. We've already headed across the top line. Let's look at your sail away in US dollars here. Your most affordable is still the Nautic at $854,000. Next up is going to be your Fountain Pajot at about 1.1, your Leopard at about just over 1.1, and then your Antares at 1.3. So, you know, really only 100 grand over with just an extraordinary interior. Looking at your length overall, it's the Leopard, which is the longest at 45 feet. But you think that the thing that counts, the length at the waterline, it's the Antares at 43.6 feet. Beam, it's the Fountain Pajot at 24.8 feet. Draft, it's the Fountain Pajot at the least at 3.9 feet. Looking at bridge deck clearance, it is the Leopard with a solid 3 feet. That's followed by the Nautic at 2.75 feet and the Antares at 2.5 feet. Looking at lightship displacement, this is a huge surprise to me. The numbers say it's the Antares at 8.8 ton. That's followed by the Nautic, not a surprise, at 10.9 ton. Then the Fountain Pajot at 14 ton and the Leopard at 14.9 tons. Upwind sail area, it's the Fountain Pajot with 1,335 square feet. And then looking down at engines, it's the Fountain Pajot and Nautic Tide with twin 50s. The Antares is a little bit different. It's got the hybrid engine setup with the diesel engine, a 40 horsepower diesel, coupled with a 10 kilowatt electric. So as you've probably seen, that format can be set up so it uses diesel propulsion only, electric propulsion only. It uses electric regen, and it uses electrical generation off the diesel. And Antares launched that, and the manufacturer of that particular setup has never been happier in his life. I met him at one of the shows, and literally his life changed the minute Antares launched their new format. Now everybody's doing it. HH has exactly the same engine in theirs. I know that Max Cruise is using the same engine in theirs. Looking at capacities here, it's the Leopard in the lead with 700 for fuel liters and 780 liters for water. For holding tank capacity, it is the Antares that takes it with 228 liters or 60 gallons of black water. Looking down at all of the square footage areas and refrigeration and freezer capacity space, I could only get fridge and freezer capacity for the Antares, and that has 198 liters of fridge and 113 liters of freezer. Again, talk with your manufacturer, sort of buttonhole them and say, why don't you have specifications for your interior square footage, for your exterior usable square footage, for your interior enclosed storage cubic foot, and your exterior locker cubic foot capacity. Those are vitally important numbers for the liveaboard cruiser. Okay, hopping into the more technical details, hull material. Believe it or not, it's the Antares that takes it here. It may look a little dated, but the construction and their structural methodologies is the best. The hull and deck are constructed with an external vinyl ester layer and polyester on the interior. Above the waterline, they're cored with foam, and below the waterline, they are monolithic all the way through. So that's a really nice setup and very similar to Outremer. Everybody else is basically polyester. They may have a small layer of vinyl ester or something to alleviate any water absorption on the outside, but not the same sort of format. Looking at system voltages, the Antares, again, very unique in that it offers a dual 24 and 12 volt. Battery bank capacity from the factory, it's the best with the Antares. Now, bearing in mind, this is their hybrid version, so they offer 40 kilowatt hours of lithium, and that is both the standard and the Max. Max factory solar is 2100 watts, and it's ventilated glass. Looking at the indicators for performance, sail area to displacement, which is indicative of power, this has really surprised me. It's the Antares that takes it with 23.9. The next one is the Nautitech at 22. Then it's Fountain Peugeot at 21.6 and Leopard at 21.5. Next one up is displacement to hull length at the waterline, or an indicator of heaviness. And again, the big surprise overall is Antares at a score of 105, which is way out in front. The next closest is Nautitech at 135, then it's Fountain Peugeot at 168, and the big girl is the Leopard at 185.7. Finally, looking at KSP, or a comparative indicator across the four, what their relative speeds might be in 10 knots of wind, here it is, again, big surprise, Antares at 78%. The next one is the Nautitech at 71%, and the Elba 45 at 68, and finally the Leopard at 67. If you're enjoying the content, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button, then share the channel with a couple of friends, and hit the like button. It's free and really helps the channel. You can also join our crew on Patreon, where you can enjoy ad-free viewing as well as downloads of the Excel specifications and PowerPoint layout comparisons, while helping the channel for a few dollars a month. You can find a link to the Naval Gazing at Camp David Patreon channel in the description below, where you can also click to receive our free ebook and information on some really cool virtual sailing training. And speaking of cool, my friends at CatamaranShow.com have developed an amazing website and database of every catamaran available and scheduled to launch that allows you to do selectable in-depth comparisons of 4 cats at a time. They're also working on an incredible virtual tour and on-the-fly configurator that provides the option of fully immersive virtual reality with the appropriate 3D goggles. This is an incredible resource for anyone considering a catamaran purchase. Have a look by clicking the link in the description below. Okay, hopping aboard. What would Sylvia say? Well, I'm not sure if I'd have to blindfold her to get her on board. It's not as bad as the Royal Cape, but it is frickin' dated. And, you know, overall, it's not a bad looking boat. It's just a dated boat. You can see the bows are not quite plumb. Looking down the hull line, you know, the ports, you know, they're not flush. They look a little dated there. We'll head up the weather deck here on the port side. Good height on the safety lines, but they are safety lines, and I wish that they would have gone with a solid. Now looking across here, the installation of the solar panels, very professional, very tight, very, very nice. I do give them hats off to that. There's something you don't see every day. An in-mast furled mainsail on a catamaran. Now I did talk to the folks. They're not in love with that idea as far as the overall performance, but they offer it. Look at the safety rails along the brow of the cabin top, very nice. You know, all of your hatches, they're not flush hatches. Very nice solid rails up at the peaks here with princess seats that look good. Overall, you know, a good looking foredeck. You can get some bean bags out there and you're good to go. And looking back, you've got the window there, similar to the old Privilege 585, where you've got the bimini top and then the cabin top, and they're split by about a foot there, and you can put in the plastics there to really protect you, almost like a windshield. Heading over here to the starboard side and down, you can see the side decks are very clear. It's easy to navigate them, and looking back, you know, not a bad boat. They've got additional solar on the rooftop of this one. I think it's a mixture of glass ventilated and walk-on. You do have your self-tacking jib there. Looking at the aft section here, you've got your dinghy davits. They look a little remedial. Again, they look a little dated. All your hatches are there. They're fine. They just look dated. This central table, like a monohull in the cockpit, blew my mind. I don't like that. The cockpit is quite tight. They've done a beautiful job finishing the underside of the hard bimini. They've also got handrails, and they've modified the aft section here to shove in some kind of a aft settee in a fairly usable format. They've done some modifications to this recently. Looking around, you've got a nice helm position. Obviously, your beautiful seat there, lots of cup holders. You've got a visibility through to see your sails in the hard bimini top there. Again, that table, I don't like central mounted wing tables in monohulls, never mind in catamarans. But boy, you got cup holders aplenty around here. Again, looking at the helm station, you can tell, now that's I didn't realize it, but that is a hard glass front windshield with window wipers. So you are really, really cocooned when you're at the helm of this thing. Throw down your side plastics and nothing's getting at you. And you've got the windshield wipers, which is pretty darn cool. All of your switches and your chart plotters, all your controls, very nicely laid out here. You know, big helm station, everything runs aft to the helm. This is an easy, short-handed sailing management vessel. Looks good. You're a little tight in the aft area here. It's not like, you know, the modern designs, but comfortable and quite functional. You got your flip down step there if you're helming there, and you got short little legs, and your in cockpit refrigerator you saw there. Again, you could glance up very easily. I'm sitting in the seat there. You can glance up and see your mainsail. Not a real fan of that configuration. I would really rather have far more visibility of the mainsail. Let's get into a little naval gazing now. ResQLink AIS is a first-of-its-kind personal locator beacon, or PLB, with capabilities previously unavailable. This device uniquely combines a 406 MHz personal locator beacon and an automatic identification system man-overboard beacon, negating the need for mariners to carry both a PLB and an AIS MOB when on the water. In addition to AIS and 406 MHz distress alerting, the ResQLink AIS features Return Link Services, RLS, functionality, which allows a blue confirmation light to flash, indicating that the distress signal from the beacon has been received, localized, and forwarded to government authorities for action. The ResQLink AIS also has near-field communication, or NFC, allowing users to interact with the product and access data easily by placing a smartphone adjacent to the ResQLink AIS, which automatically opens the ACR product app. This app displays beacon status information including current battery life, the number of beacon tests completed, the amount of time the PLB has been activated, and Global Navigation Satellite System, or GNSS, tests that show a map view pinpoint where the test was performed along with other data. Designed for easy installation with a life jacket, when the life jacket inflates, it triggers the deployment of the antenna and activates the beacon. The AIS alert provides access to effective rescue resources, and the GNSS receiver utilizes both the Galileo GNSS and the GPS satellite network. This ensures that anyone activating the ResQLink AIS can expect their beacon to be located within 100 meters 95% of the time within 3 minutes of the distress signal. Back on board here, let's get into where this boat really shines. This saloon and all the interior finishings. I mean, it is a work of art. Cherry wood veneers everywhere. There's no, unexposed fiberglass staring in the face here. You've got beautiful countertops. You've got a galley down in a 45, which really doesn't even feel like a galley down because of the way they've integrated it. But wow, it gives you a saloon area and a galley area in a 45-foot that is absolutely without compare and gorgeous. I mean, look at the finishes here. Everywhere your eye looks. Got those beautiful little accent lamps. You got that beautiful table that adjusts 50 ways from Sunday. You've got a settee where you can sit, that you're not always sitting at the dinner table. It even has a pull-out desk that you can have. Talk about your cake and eat it too. You got your wine lockers in behind there. You've got a forward-facing nav with a beautifully customized seat there. You can remove that pillow there on the wing of the settee, the kitchen settee there, so that you have even greater visibility through to the galley, or you can put it in if you need the additional seating space. The floors are that beautiful teak and holly design, so classic. I mean, I just absolutely love the way they've finished this. Why do we have modern catamarans that are finished any different than this when all of our monohulls are finished exactly like this? I just don't get it. Suddenly when you go to 2 hulls, you love living inside a plastic bottle? Doesn't make any sense to me. Hats off to our friends here at Antares for doing the most beautiful interior on the market. And I would today almost I would say this rivals even privilege. The privileges of old, of the 05 and that era, like Zatara, they're spectacular. But the new privilege is a little too modern for me, although beautiful. Look at the curved edges here. They've got stainless fiddles. They've even taken those kind of ugly ports and surrounded them with cherry wood. I love the shape of the doors here, the rounded corners on every edge and corner. This this beautiful shower and head area is absolutely gorgeous in every way, and it certainly does not feel cramped in any way, shape, or form. Now we're going to have to do a little magic here to get rid of these folks. There they go. But look at the edges of these cabinets. You see that edge there? The fiddle and then the round edge? That takes a lot of work, and all done in veneer with solid wood edges around the bed and around the door frame. Now here, you've got a katana, an old katana style two-side bed access, which, you know, it's better than a butt scoot bed. So I would say that these boys have it over top of you know, the other three in this category, which are all exclusively butt scoot beds. At least this one has two-sided access. Okay, we're going down into the galley now, and look at those countertops. Look at all your cabinetry, how beautiful it is. All your fixtures, high quality. Love those oval doors. They make me feel nautical. I know there's some people that prefer them squared off, but I absolutely love them. Look at the peekaboo through if you want it there. They've got full induction on this vessel. Of course, it's a full hybrid. You can run your AC overnight without running your gen set. And with the hybrid system, you've got a recharge when you're sailing. This is a really quite a spectacular vessel. I just wish that the molds were updated a wee bit, and it looked as pretty on the outside as it sure as heck does on the inside. And it would be nice to have a little more space. Here we are going forward here. We've got an athwartship bed bunk here with lots of storage underneath. Again, it's a two-sided access, not full three-sided, but beautifully executed. Lovely details like the shelf up there, all beautifully done. I mean, it's really it's a pretty boat, and for 45 feet, you know, it doesn't feel cramped. But I think they could do a little bit more with a new mold. However, you know, these are the performance on this boat, as we saw from the KSP numbers, is surprising. So, you know, maybe you'd give up some of that performance if you changed these the hull width and got yourself a little more traditional space like the new molds do. So maybe that's not something you want to do. I don't know. I just like the outside to look a little prettier. Anyways, there we are. We're looking again aft here. And here is your VIP suite. Beautiful, beautiful cabinetry everywhere you look. Again, that beautiful teak and holly floor. And everywhere you look is finished and pretty with nice accessories and rounded edges and beautiful little shelves with stainless steel accents. And your escape hatch there brings even more light and ambiance into this lovely VIP suite, which is, you know, one-side access athwartship, but extremely comfortable. I mean, wow, what an absolutely beautiful, beautiful vessel. Okay, what do we compare this to? So in the market here, we, you know, our sail away price, we've estimated at about 1.3 million USD. The first one we're looking at here is a 2020, so a 3-year-old boat. It's a Lagoon 450F. They are asking $649,000 versus 1.3 for the brand new hybrid Antares. So, you know, radically different boats because the Antares is a hybrid. This one, you know, the Antares is a hybrid. The interior is gorgeous. It's got all electrical appliances. Yes, it's got a dated exterior. Its performance numbers are solid. I would go with the Antares on this one. Next up, we're looking at a Fountain Peugeot Elba 45. This is a 1-year-old boat, a 2022, and they're asking $1 million versus 1.3 for the brand new Antares. Again, you know, the Antares will outsail this boat. It's not a huge delta, but it's there. This would be a harder one for me. You know, obviously, I love that hybrid format. I love the lack of gas on there. But I do like the interior of the Elba 45, although, you know, for very, very different reasons. This would be a hard one for me. I'll tip the hat to the Antares on this one. And finally, we're looking at a 2022 one-year-old boat, Antares 44 Open. Very pretty boat. They're asking 772, so 800 grand versus 1.3 on the Antares. Without a doubt, I go the Antares on this one. I do like the Nautitech. I like what they're doing. There's a bunch of things I don't like. I don't like the butt scoot beds. I don't like the that center bar stand-up area that takes up so much space in the saloon. Love their finishes. I'm sort of neither one way or the other on their helm position. I can see benefits for both, but the Antares would take it on this one for me. Okay, monohull heresy. We're comparing the Antares to something 20% larger in a monohull to equate to the same liveaboard space. And our first up is a 2018 Jeanneau Yacht 51. So that is a 5-year-old boat. They're asking $550,000. Less than half the price of the Antares. The problem is that I mean, there's not enough in a monohull at this size with a Jeanneau to get me excited enough to deal with trying to convince Sylvia to do the healing. If this was an Oyster 495, I'd go with it, but you know, we know what that would cost. So I would give the nod to the Antares on this one. Next up, we're going with a Beneteau Oceanus Yacht 54. They're asking $880,000. Same response. Not enough here. I think the Antares has so much to offer. I'd go with the Antares. Next up, we are finally looking at something that competes. This is an absolute gorgeous boat, the 2018 Passport 545. The interior is a work of art. The exterior is beautiful. They're asking $890 grand. So I'd save 410,000 USD. I would take a stab at convincing Sylvia on this. They got a beautiful full beam aft berth, and the interior is better even than the Antares. This is a spectacular vessel. So the Antares gets a full sweep, save one. Okay, the Dave score. How did she do? Well, there we are, down the list, and there she is. About halfway down. So she didn't do half bad. You know, you're looking at equating her, you know, to a Beneteau Oceanus Yacht 60 and a Neil 51, a Bally 5.4. She's in the same space, and you know, overall, for my likes and dislikes, that's still accurate. I mean, just because you got mountains of space doesn't mean I want to be on board. So we're looking at elegance on the interior is a 9 out of 10. Exterior, 6 out of 10. You know, maybe a 5 out of 10. It's just so dated and kind of chalked together. Comfort on the interior, 7 out of 10. It's just a little tight. Exterior, 6 out of 10. There's nothing to write home about out there. Quality, I would say it's a 9 out of 10. Everything points to this being a very, very high quality boat. Performance is a 7 out of 10. Lazy Sailor, 7 out of 10. Condo, 7 out of 10, which is saying something for a 45. Geek, 6 out of 10. There's nothing to geek out on this one. And value for the money, I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. For our art of the region, we're looking at Benito Quinquela Martin, 1890 to 1977, and his painting, the title is in Argentinian, and I won't even try it. Quinquela Martin was born in Buenos Aires and adopted by a humble family. He attended a night drawing academy in La Boca, a picturesque Italian neighborhood on the outskirts of Buenos Aires, and was fond of painting the harbor by the Richarlo Bank. He was discovered by Master Pio Colavedino, who decided to support him in his career. In 1920, he received second prize in the National Salon of Buenos Aires. The same year, he had his first individual exhibition in Rio de Janeiro with great success. He visited Europe and the United States and exhibited in Paris, Madrid, Rome, London, and New York. In 1970, he was invited to Cuba, where he had a one-man show in Havana. On large canvases, Quinquela Martin painted views of the port and dockyards, showing the bustling life of La Boca in scenes that are a hymn to human effort. He was a colorist of exceptional talent, creating high contrast with strong spatula strokes. His masterpieces are in the great American and European museums. He is the founder of the Fine Arts School of Museum of La Boca. The National Museum of Fine Arts had a retrospective of his work in 1990. Well, that's our Waves, Wine, Art, and Ideas for one more week. I do hope you've enjoyed it. This is a beautiful boat on the inside. I'm looking forward to any next launches that they may have. I think they're on the right track as far as their interior design and the way to build a catamaran. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.